Raise your hand if you are a parent and an entrepreneur. Is that you? All right. If that is the case, it is you and me, babe. This week, we are having a conversation about how to be both a great parent and a great business owner, because it certainly comes with its highs and lows, let me tell you. And there are some lessons I feel like I've learned along the way and watched other business owners learn along the way that I just want to share to give you some peace of mind and to help you to sleep at night. So it's you and me, solo week, this week on the podcast. I'm so pumped you're here. Let's go.
Let's talk about your business, strategy, and the juicy details of what actually works, from mainstream fashion to fashion on Main Street and the entire ecosystem behind it. How do we scale your company and do it with the balance and the happiness that we all seek? Let's hear from those insiders, experts, and strategists that actually make it happen. I'm your host, Ashley Alderson from the Boutique Hub, and I can't wait to chat.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast this week. It is you and me, and we're talking about something that is near and dear to my heart. And for those of you who are parents and have families and are entrepreneurs, as you are, I know this is near and dear to your heart too. And that is, how can I be both a great parent and a great entrepreneur? I know you guys hear this on the podcast because I love to ask guests this question, but I hate the word balance. I hate this idea that it's like, oh, when I'm off balance here, like one thing tips the other, right? And I'm like constantly going back and forth to find some sort of like imaginary balance. I think it's BS. I don't think it exists. I think balance is what you make it. And I think that we all have an opportunity to be great in both areas. And I just want to talk today really honestly about what that's been like for me and what I know has worked for others, and hopefully there's some sort of nugget in here today that'll help you too. I plain and simple know that when times get a little tricky, when things get a little stressful, when we're worried about how the business is going, that often can translate into things at home too. That stress is contagious. And so I feel like this is a timely conversation of, where are we at with the business? Where are we at home? And how can I work on finding peace and being really satisfied in both places? So from my experience, let me just give you a little bit of background. For those of you who don't know me very well, I have 3 kids. We have 3 kids. My husband, Eric, and I, we've been married for 14 years, and our kids are 7.5. Like, we are near the golden birthday to turn 8. And we have 7-year-old Jade, we have 10-year-old Easton, we have 12-year-old Hadley. And our kids are definitely in this super busy middle school sports stage of life. And I feel like we are all glorified soccer moms here at the Alderson household. And when we first started the Boutique Hub, which was way back in 2013, our kids were really little. In fact, Hadley and Easton were just tiny, like 4 years old, right about that. And Jade was a newborn baby. In fact, the day that we came home from the hospital with Jade was a day that we launched our very first website at the Boutique Hub. We had been up on social media. We've been doing a bunch of things, but we launched our first membership site at the Boutique Hub. And that was a big deal. I can remember sitting on the reclining chair in the living room, just getting done nursing Jade. And I'm like, haven't showered, I'm still in like my hospital underwear. Like, it's a whole thing. Those of you who have kids, And I got the okay to go ahead and flip the switch and launch this website. And Jade was really, she was a baby as the Boutique Hub was a baby. And there was many nights where she'd fall asleep on my lap or fall asleep in my arms in one arm, and I had a laptop in the other, and I was hustling. And I was doing everything I could to build this brand new business, to prove this concept. No one had ever done anything like this before. There was nothing like the Boutique Hub when we started. Now there's, a million Boutique Hub sort of wannabes. No offense. I'm sure they're great. But now it's a whole different world, right? And so when we started, I was working so hard trying to make this all come together. And Eric was working hard in his career, trying to just provide for our family and put food on the table. And we were, trying to find babysitters to watch the younger two. And again, Jade was just on my lap. So I feel like we walked through that fire of the baby stage and the sleepless night stage, both in life and in business. And then that busy toddler stage, where your kids, like, you can't take your eyes off them for 5 minutes because you feel like they're going to burn themselves or Lord knows what. while also building a business. We went through that stage. Now we're in the middle school stage. And I feel like I'm vicariously living through Sarah Burks in the high school stage because she's so busy in the boutique hub. And here she's got a junior and senior in high school. One just graduated, her senior, and she's heading off to college. So I'm watching that sentimental stage of, seeing your kids go off to college and leave home for the first time. And there's a huge part of me in this phase of my life thinking, man, does this go fast? And man, do I want to take in every moment I have. Like, we've got 6 summers left with our oldest. How are we going to make those count? And so watching, living through my journey, watching Sarah's journey, and then hearing from many of you with kids that are even older yet, and seeing your journey and your, wishes. And I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Taking all that into account today, I just want to talk about what are some things we can do so that we feel like we have peace at home and we have peace in the business, and we feel like we understand how to be both a great entrepreneur and a great parent. So take this with a grain of salt. This is my experience. This is shared experiences. This is things I've done, things I've tried. And again, I just hope that there's a nugget in here for you and that it hits home with you and your family as well. Every situation is a little bit different. And I promise you, wherever you're at, there is no judgment coming from me, ever. Being a parent is one of the most difficult jobs on planet Earth, far more difficult than being a business owner, I promise. So there's never any judgment here, only pure love and pure support for you and for your family. And I just want you to be able to sleep well at night, knowing that there's others out there who have gone through this with you and that you're supported. And there's things we can do to make this journey just a little bit easier. So let's talk about those. So a couple key points. I've got 5 things I really want to share with you on today's podcast about being a great parent and CEO. And the first is really clear. The first is, I really want you to take a step back and review your why. Why are you doing this? And what are your life goals outside of business? Because I think one of the biggest causes of stress for many of us is that comparison trap. We see so-and-so online crushing it. We see so-and-so going to market and doing all this traveling and this huge warehouse and all these things, but so-and-so maybe doesn't have a family. So-and-so's got a lot of time, right? Maybe so-and-so does have a family, but so-and-so has a different financial situation than we do. So she has a ton of help, right? So this trap of comparison, I think, is the root of so much family heartache because we feel like we should be somewhere that we're not, always chasing that next thing. And for those of you, which I think it's probably the majority of you, given the fact that you're an entrepreneur, you're probably also an achiever. And so you find a lot of your self-worth and your value based on achieving something. I am 100% an achiever. I'm an Enneagram 3. And I'm always chasing the next thing. And you probably see that in the boutique hub. We're always building the next thing. That's a bit of my squirrel. And that's such a catch-22. It can be a great thing, but it can be a detrimental thing too, because you never stop to actually celebrate and be where you are and just be in your own skin for a little bit. And it's hard for an achiever, especially now, I'll say, in the economy when things are changing and we're always used to chasing that year-over-year goal. It's hard not to hit them. And then when we feel that stress and we feel that panic, we think we have to work harder, which what does that do? It takes away from our time with our family. It takes away from time in our marriage. And so then things start to spiral at home too. And you start to weigh that if things are good at business, things can't be good at home. And if things aren't good at home, they can't be good in the business. And you're stuck in the middle in this yucky, heavy panic. And gosh, you guys, I've been there. I still get there. And it's so hard to dig out of being in that spot. And God, that hurts. Like I know that feeling so well. And so I just want to assure you that what has really helped me is to take a step back and just remember, why am I doing this? Right? If things don't go the way that I really want them to in the business right now, that's okay because I'm healthy. The kids are healthy. They're happy, they're growing, they've got great things going on. Like I have to reframe what I'm really focused on and what I'm aiming toward. And I have to know that I am putting as much weight on the goals I have set for my health, for my faith, for my family, for the kids, and for their well-being. There's as much weight there as there is on the business, right? And achieving something in the business, which somehow subconsciously, I think we all feel like if I achieve this thing in the business, everything else will be fine. Right? If I get this thing done, if I make this much money, if I do this thing, then my kids and my family and my marriage, like it'll all work itself out. We subconsciously tell ourselves that, whether we know it or not. At least I do, right? And it's crap. It is such a lie, right? Achieving one thing does not make up for all the other whys and goals in our life. So again, tip number one is take a step back and evaluate, what is your why? Why are you doing this? And what are the goals you're setting out for yourself? And have you really outlined enough time for those goals? Have you outlined and gotten crystal clear on creating space for those goals? And I'll talk more about that, creating space in your calendar and all of that in a little bit. But I just want you to know, what is the emphasis here? When I look at my vision board, is it just business stuff, or have I really gotten crystal clear on what I want in all these other areas of my life? And then I will say this, you guys, bigger is not better. Bigger is not better. So when we're constantly chasing the next thing, and we think the next stage of business and opening a second storefront or having a bigger warehouse or making a new sales goal is going to make us happy, it is bullshit. It's a lie. It will not make you happy. Bigger is not always better. Better is better. And so where in your life are you able to find more peace? Where are you able just to be, right? What are the experiences you want to have and the feels you want to feel? Chase those things, but don't chase keeping up with the Joneses. That's tip number one. All right, tip number two really falls hand in hand with that. This was a hard lesson for me to learn, tip number two, but boy, have I tried to stick to my guns on that. And that is setting boundaries. I feel like there's this stage, and we'll talk about this next, CEO versus entrepreneur, right? Where we're either the hustling entrepreneur, we're trying to DIY everything, right? We're going to save our way to prosperity. And then there's the CEO that knows that time is the only thing on this planet that's limited and money is abundant. But when we're an entrepreneur, we think about it the other way. We're like, oh, there's not enough money to go around. I'm going to use up all my time to create more money. When in fact, it is the opposite. And so the first most important thing we have to do is put a value on our time and set boundaries around it. So when I first got started in business, and I know this is so many of you guys too, I felt like I was the fitted in queen. Like, I'm going to take my kid to gymnastics practice. Great. I'll bring my laptop and I'll fit it in. I've got to do this email. Oh, my kid is sleeping on the couch. Oh, great. I'm going to do this. I'm going to fit it in. Oh, once the kids go to bed, I'm going to fit it in. And I was fitting in work everywhere. And I realized like the quality of my work was like not getting any better, because I was finding that when I did have time to work, I'll answer this email, or, I'm going to scroll on social media for a minute and then I'll fit this thing in later. But it doesn't work like that. Like, this multitasking thing that we think we can do is such a myth. So I started to have to set a really hard boundary on my time, and not just for work, but also time for my family. See, I'm a big, like, when I go back to our kids first being born, I knew I was not going to be a great stay-at-home mom. I was just like not wired for that. So I always have known in my heart of hearts that when it comes to family, I'm all about quality over quantity. Like, I'm great with the kids going to a sitter. I'm fine with that. But when I'm with them, I want to be with them. I don't want to be distracted. And so that to me really goes into this boundary conversation of, when I am with them in the morning, getting them ready for school, I am full on with them, getting them ready. And then I go to work. And then here's my time container for work. And then after 5 o'clock, or in the summertime after 4 o'clock, whatever that might be, I am done. Like, once I am done and I leave, I shut my computer. If I'm even working on the couch, right? I shut it. I'm done. I'm fully present with them. And they know that they come first for me. They know they're my priority. They know we have quality time. On the weekends, I don't work. Like, there is an occasion where I have to, yes. There's Sunday nights where I get prepared, yes. But for the most part, like, their weekend is their weekend. And I am 1000% momming on the weekend. I'm going to basketball games. I'm going to rodeos. I'm taking them to the pool. Like, whatever it is we're doing as a family, because it's the boundary I have set hard and clear. And I really had to like make myself Post-it notes that help me to see this in my life. Like, I value my worth when I value my time for my family. It was like I had to retrain how I was setting my worth when it came to either my worth in business or my worth that I was putting on myself for my family. And I had to associate the two. Like, I value my family when I really own my worth, and I'm creating that space for the family. So boundary is huge. When are you starting work? When are you ending work? And then show me your calendar and you'll show me your priorities, right? So if it's marriage, where is the boundary for your marriage? Where is the boundary for date nights? Where is the boundary for lunch meetings, lunch dates, right? Where's the boundary? Like, where did we put vacations on the calendar? All that stuff has to be set ahead of time. And then you put in that space for work, the boundary for work, and where you're going to be and when you're going to be there. So set some boundaries that really help you to own what's most important to you. Tip number 3 goes back to what I just mentioned, CEO versus entrepreneur mindset. And that really helps us and allows us to set those boundaries. So in my opinion, again, we all start as entrepreneurs. We're hustling, we're DIYing it, we're saving our way forward, right? We kind of think we have to have our hand in all the things. But in order to grow and scale, and in order to get your time back to be a parent, you have to flip the switch into being a CEO. And a CEO knows that time is the most limited resource on earth. Therefore, we can set those boundaries, right? And we are able then to invest in team, even if you say to this, Ashley, I can't afford it. Ashley, I can't afford to hire a team. My challenge to you is this, because this was me with really small kids. It was, can I hire someone for $10 an hour to come in 5 hours a week that can help with cleaning and laundry and dishes and, you know, maybe doing a couple of like errands on the computer for me, like data entry, easy stuff, right? 5 hours a week, $10 an hour, that's $50 I've invested. Now, me as a CEO needs to be able to answer this. What return on investment am I getting for that 5 hours, right? If I invest $50, what can I do that's an income generating activity, right? Or a system that I'm building, a process that I'm building that will allow for income generating activity? What can I do in that 5 hours to make that work? How much money can I make? What revenue can I build? Man, I should at least be able to do something worth $1,500, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 in 5 hours this week if I have it clear and uninterrupted. So can I afford the 50 to hire someone? Hell yes, I can. Absolutely. It's a great investment. So for me, that started as, again, a babysitter, someone to watch the kids, somebody to help pick up around the house, someone to cook a meal, data entry, you name it. There's all kinds of ways to make that work. High school kid, college kid, adult, mom, friend, you name it. So be that CEO. And when you're that CEO and you start to put value on your own time, which a lot of entrepreneurs don't do, right? You have to know as a CEO, your time's worth at least $100 an hour, at least. So what are you doing then to invest in your business with that time? And what return are you generating? Many of you, especially those of you who have been a part of Retail Bootcamp, have heard me talk about the 4-part to-do list and just like setting time blocking and boundary for our week. So just really quick to recap. And again, if you're in Retail Bootcamp, you get all kinds of training and lessons on this. But to me, this meant inventing this very process. And this is when Jade was a baby and our kids were little. This is the process I started. List number 1, what are the things I have to do every single week? Like clockwork, right? I've got to do these things no matter what. List number 2, that is my big rocks this week only. So my biggest income generating activities, the 20% of my list that's going to give me 80% of the results, the big things, right? It's my big rocks this week. The third list is my later list. It's all the little to-dos that can come, but they can come later. Next week, next month, next quarter. The fourth list is what can I say no to? Where can I ask for help? Where do I need to outsource? That's my no list. So that list, I will tell you that list number 4 is the most challenging always. Even as you scale and become a multi-million-dollar business, it's the most challenging because we're control freaks. As entrepreneurs, we're control freaks and we think we have to have our hands in everything. But the thing you will learn the more you grow is you cannot be the bottleneck of your business. And you have to ask for help if you are going to build a sustainable business and you're also going to be present in your home. So where can I say no? Where can I outsource? Where can I ask for help? So once I have those 4 lists, I can take them and I can overlay them into my calendar. And I can look and say, okay, step number 1, here's the boundaries I've set for myself. This is the boundary for my life, my marriage, my kids, the kids' activities, picking them up for school. If it's important for me to be the face they see in the drop-off line, great. These are the 3 days a week I'm going to do it. And here's the other 2. Here's who's going to pick them up the other 2, right? I put that in there first. Those are my boundaries. And then I go in and I look at list number 1 and I say, all right, from list number 1, where's my time blocks for this? Social media? Okay, that's Mondays. Working with vendors? Okay, great. That's Tuesdays. Photo shoots and marketing? Okay, that's Wednesdays. Working with the team? working out systems and processes and re-merchandising the store. Okay, that's Thursdays, right? Take list number one and build it into a system of time blocking on your calendar so that every week you know exactly what's happening. But if you show up to work and you're chasing the next thing you need to get done and the fit it in idea, oh, I'll fit it in tonight when the kids sleep. I'll fit it in later. I'll fit it in on my lunch break. I'll fit it in the car, in the pickup line. It'll never get done. So show me your calendar. They'll show me your priorities. Systematize your time. Maybe not every hour of the day is time blocked, but you at least have a theme and an idea of this is what I'm going to get done today. This is the thing I'm really going to focus on. Because when everything is important, nothing is important. We can't be chasing all the things at once. And when we really get good at that, you guys, creating that CEO versus entrepreneur mindset and systematizing our time and creating boundaries, now we have time where we can just go play baseball with the kids. We can just go hang out. We can go listen to music. We can go for a walk. We can go do whatever we're going to do without the fear and the guilt and the stress and the I should be doing this, but I'm not, because that is the crap that will weigh you down. It is so heavy to carry that burden. So create a system, create buckets so that you know you have plenty of time for your family. All right, item number 4. Just lost an earring. Item number 4, tip number 4 is include your kids. Include them in this journey with you. It doesn't really matter how old they are. I feel like our kids knew from the time they were very little, they were a part of the boutique hub. They all had their own role to play, even if it was taking out the trash. They knew what it was. And now Hadley works on the planner shipping every day during planner shipping season, and so does Easton. They build boxes. Jade builds sticker packs. Like, they do all kinds of things for the hub. And so include them, and include them in the good times and the bad. I'll never forget when the pandemic was happening, you guys. And I know many of you have these same stories, and you were thinking about homeschooling your kids plus running your business. And I can remember very clearly having this conversation with our kid's principal at the time. He was one of my husband's best friends. They hunt together and do all kinds of things together. And I said, we have a choice to make. Either we can do this homeschool thing really good, right? Eric and I share our computers and like be super Pinterest mom and dad. Or we can focus on keeping our business alive, keeping our families that we employ, keeping them employed so they have food on their table, and then the thousands of businesses that we work with every week, keeping them alive so they can do the same. And right now, like, homeschool is going to have to take a back seat because this is priority in this just weird time that we're in. And the principal looked at us and he's like, absolutely. He's like, get their work done, turn it in, great. If it's not perfect, we understand. But like, this is kind of a survival mode right now. And we sat our kids down and we had that conversation with them about how important it is for us as a family to sacrifice these things so that we can help and support others. And man, our kids they've never forgotten that. Like, they still talk about that. And even today, as we talk with our kids about, the economy and things that are happening in our industry and how, we've got to be there for people. Like, they've come back to that moment and they're all in. They're like, hey, whatever we need to do. Like, do we need to sacrifice like this family dinner because actually, Mom, you should go back to work tonight and go talk to this boutique owner or go build this training or like do something that's going to help and serve another family to help them sleep well tonight? Yeah, Mom, we've got that. Like, we're going to sacrifice this dinner tonight for that purpose. So my, I guess, biggest tip to you is include your kids, talk to your kids, even if they're young, help them feel the pride of being a part of what you do. But also help them to see the very real world scenario that you're in, the good and the bad, not to scare them, but to give them that sense of ownership and also what it means to support other people. Because I just think that builds better humans and builds so much more empathy in the long run. So include them in the journey with you for sure. All right. Tip number 5. And this tip goes, I guess, without saying. I'm sure some of you are married and some of you have partners and some of you are single parents. Everyone's coming to this conversation a little bit differently. But I will say this, whoever is helping you raise the kids, your significant other, your relationship with them is just as important as your relationship with the kids. And so if we're having this conversation today about how to be a great parent and a great entrepreneur, I encourage you to really think about your relationship with your partner and how you manage that with the business as equally as important. Um, here's why I say that. Here's why this was important to me. Eric and I are very different people. I am clearly the like wild card squirrel creative of the family, and Eric's very analytical, very system driven, numbers driven. Just we're different, right? I did not like algebra. Let's just say that. I did not do well in math in school because I didn't like numbers because they couldn't tell me a fun story. So, how that translates into being business owners and being married is when things maybe weren't going well in the business. And Eric would say, "What's your plan? What's your plan? What do you need? What are you going to do? How are you going to turn this around?" I felt very offended because he didn't trust me. I was like, "What? You don't trust me? Like, look at how hard I'm working." And he was just like, "Just put the numbers on paper. Like, just give me the plan. What are you going to do? Let me just know that you at least have thought it through, had a plan, had a projection, right? You know where this is going." And so we just came to the table speaking very different languages. And that created a lot of friction at home for us until we both could get on the same page and figure out where we both were coming from. So my ask for you today is just simply to communicate with your spouse, to understand what is your communication style, what is their communication style, and how can you get on the same page about what's happening realistically in your business, where you're at, where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, and what is your plan B? What's your plan C if things don't go according to that plan A? Get on the same page with them so that you guys have buy-in together. And that will definitely translate at home to the kids as well. Because again, stress at home, man, stress in the business, I feel like just flow back and forth to one another. So what is that profit plan for you? The other thing I will say that has been really important in terms of just working with your spouse or communicating with your spouse about the business is I have this doorway rule. So it's easy to have a bad day at work and then carry that crap home with you and carry it through the front door. And you guys know what that's like too, right? I feel like if Eric does that, like if he has a bad day and he comes in and slams the door or whatever, like I can feel it. It's like I'm on pins and needles. And so the same is true when I do it. So we have this doorway rule. Every time you're walking through a doorway, asking yourself, okay, who am I being when I walk into this room? Okay, right now I am being a loving mother. Right now I'm being a loving wife. Right now I'm being a CEO. Right now I'm being whatever it is. I'm done. I'm relaxing. But just ask yourself when you go through a doorway, what am I carrying through this doorway with me? And do the people on the other side need that thing? So who am I being coming through the doorway? What am I carrying with me coming through the doorway? So that you can show up as you need to be for your kids, for your partner, for your spouse, and then for your team at work. But create some definite definition and some boundary for managing your relationships along with the kids. Oh man, guys, the other thing, last thing, those are 5 tips, but I feel like I have so many more coming to my head as we're talking about this, is being an entrepreneur and being a parent is sometimes wildly rewarding. It's always wildly rewarding. It's always wildly rewarding. But there are times when you will be highly misunderstood. Those of you who maybe have family or friends who don't understand your work-life balance, who don't understand your travel schedule, who don't understand you being on social media, there will always be somebody who doesn't understand. And sometimes it comes from people that you love the most, and that's incredibly painful. So I want you to know that we've also been through that piece. I've been through that piece. We've been challenged on how we are as parents. We've been challenged on what our kids are eating for dinner. I just want you to know if your kids have to eat ramen noodles tonight because it's a season for you, it's the season you're in, that's okay, right? You can feed them a gourmet meal tomorrow. And that one night of eating cereal isn't going to do anything to them, right? There's no judgment coming from this place. There's no judgment coming from me because I know we've all walked this journey together. But sometimes there will be judgment coming from places when you least expect it. So water off a duck's back, keep moving forward, keep being the great parent and the great business owner that you are. And know that as long as it's good with you, your partner, your kids, it's great in your 4 walls and you have a plan and a purpose and a clear vision of where you're going, you're good, right? And no one else's opinion and no one else's comparison trap ever needs to matter. So guys, at the end of the day, I know it comes down to this. Everyone has an opinion. There's always coaches and other business owners to chase online that don't have kids who are telling you exactly how you should do it. Just know that it's okay to be exactly where you are. That bigger is not better, but better is better. And I want you to be really clear about what your plan is for profitability and for peace in your own skin. And also to know that as parents, we're constantly walking through seasons of life. We're walking through seasons of life as our kids grow. We're walking through seasons of life as our business grows and changes and goes from a new business to a scaling business to a huge business to maybe a business cutting back. There are always seasons of life. And at the end of the day, number one, I want to encourage you to have grace for yourself. Have grace for yourself as an entrepreneur. Have grace for yourself as a parent. Have grace for those around you who are walking the same walk that you are, because it's a tough one. It's a real tough one. You have a lot on your shoulders and I see you carrying it. So have grace for yourself as well in this process. And there are highs and lows always, but I know I'm going to see you come out on the other side better than ever. So you guys, hug your littles, hug your spouses, high five your family, be grateful for your health and for all of the great things to come in eternity for you. And I'm always here. I've got your back. I appreciate you guys listening to this heart-to-heart conversation today. But I admire you for being an entrepreneur and a parent, and I know you're doing a great job. And I want you to see that in yourself as well. So that's it for the podcast this week, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I genuinely appreciate it. If you guys have any thoughts or questions, or if you have a parenting tip that you want to share with other listeners of the podcast, send me a DM at AJ Alderson on Instagram or at the Boutique Hub. Tag me on Instagram. Let me know what you're doing, or tag me with a picture of your family. I would love to see their beautiful faces, you guys. But again, thanks for being here, and thank you for being a part of the Boutique Hub. That means the world to not just myself, not just our team, but Hadley, Easton, Jade, and Eric, because this is a family business that you're supporting, and we're so thankful that you're supporting it. All right, have a great day, guys. Thanks again.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope that you loved it. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a rating and review down below for a chance to be one of our featured listeners each and every week. For more information on our spirit of community over competition and how to access complete show notes and bonus downloads from our guests, head on over to theboutiquehub.com and join the community. We'll see you next week.